You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Yeah, what's up with it? Do it cause I love it and I stuck with it. We ain't with the subbing in the cut with it. Please, none of the talks, I heard enough of it. Like, what you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this, don't talk about it. Really on the move, on the map, never slip. Keep your hands to your lips, don't talk about it. Real eyes, real lies all the time. Stand on it, if we said it, we don't walk around it. Loose lips, ain't ships, red cup, blue strips, new phone, who this? No, we don't allow it. Really on go, I don't know what's an off day. Now we on road, came from smoking in the hallway. Now we got shows, boys feeling like Broadway. Always look both ways, even on a crossway. Driving down Cross Bay, out town Barclays. Really on big things, came up a small way. Championship rings, baby, that's a ball game. Oh, she want a little bag, baby, that's small change. Yeah, that money talk. If we ain't cool, then cut me off. No breaking news, don't run your mouth. Thought it was the plug, now he running off. Thought it was a plug, now he running off. What you gonna do? Where you at? Who you with? You ain't really about this, don't talk about it.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that is on all the time, anytime. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the next big thing, the latest up-and-coming sports journalist, your host, Nathan Snell.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all doing well. Hope you're all staying safe. Hope you had a great weekend. Happy Monday. Taco Tuesday, this is episode 12, season 15 of the podcast. In this episode, we are talking about getting some WNBA talk. I have with me, like I said at the last episode, at this point, he is a co-host of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, Brenden Potts. Brenden, what's going on, buddy?
Hey man, I'm glad to be here as always, and I'm super excited to be talking another weekend of or another week of WNBA basketball. So,
absolutely. But before we get into that, there's a few things I would like to say up front. I do apologize if you've not seen some WNBA content the past about a week or so. Like the last video was like 12 days ago, and I was with some of the posts and pre media availabilities, just summer school. But we will have that up as soon as possible. The Washington Mystics played Indiana Fever today. You will also please check out MarylandSportsBlog.com for my coverage of the Washington Mystics. I will have an article after the Mercury game. I've done a couple things different with how I'm looking. I'm going to do a report card for the first 10 games of the season for the Mystics. I haven't done recaps, but I'm going to do a report card because I have been taking notes. And you can also follow Brendan's coverage of the Seattle Storm with the Storm League, correct?
Yeah.
Because you want to go ahead and just talk about a little bit of what to expect there for Storm fans or W fans.
Yeah, so if anyone's new here, I write articles for the Lead, and I cover the Seattle Storm. And on social media, mainly on Twitter, it's at W_Lead or Storm or at Storm Lead, and either of those networks will have my articles out when they post, and I've covered a multitude of topics last year in my first year, and this year will be the same in an unusual but entertaining year, to say the least. So that's just more about what I've done for anyone who wasn't aware.
And I'll be sure to make sure I'll leave Brendan's Twitter and the link to his work. Great work that you're doing covering the Seattle Storm, buddy. Let's just get into it, the meat and potatoes. We all know why you're here. It was an interesting week 3. We're going in now week 4 of the season. But before we get into that, I really wanted to get your thoughts on Brenden. We had a rematch after you guys, the Seattle Storm, swept us painfully last season in the postseason first round. Didn't really know what to expect with this one, this whole series, because it free agency really makes a difference. Joe Lloyd did not play in the Friday game. I'm still having concerns about the guard play for Washington. You guys had just signed Jordan Holmes and you cut Kyla Charles. Do you have any insight on that move in particular?
Well, I mean, Seattle Twitter went crazy after we cut Kayla Charles just because they thought it was Gabby Williams news when the Storm completely duped us all. But not really. She got a little bit of playing time. I believe she got signed on the Saturday. I could be wrong. But she did get signed and then had a little bit of playing time on Sunday.
So is Gabby Williams done? She won't be playing the season?
They're just, I mean, her season overseas is done. She still has, she's still eligible to come back with the Storm, if she wanted to. But there's just been no news, and we've all just been waiting on pins and needles. I think the Storm are keeping that area a little on the down low, or a little bit in house. But I have no doubt that there's been like discussions between the two sides ongoing.
What was your thoughts on the Sunday game? You were there. You got to see Sue Bird, arguably one of the best point guards of this game, have her the second jersey hung over the rafters next to Lauren Jackson. Just talk about your experience going to that game. You got to meet some wonderful people, but go ahead and give your thoughts.
Yeah, first shout out to Wayne Cole, Gwendolyn Lloyd, and the players that I met. Ezzie McLegore, Sammy Wickham, Jewel Lloyd, and Kia Nurse. They were all super nice, and Wayne Cole on Twitter, I met him, and he and I spoke for a little bit. So that was really cool to meet
Shout
him.
out to Wayne Cole.
Yes, sir. He's
doing a lot of great things from Baltimore. Baltimore covers the XFL, WNBA, NBA, G League. I've learned a lot from him.
And he's such a good person to talk to, and he's just he's a really good and genuine human being, and he gives the greatest advice off of his experiences in the past. So it was really cool to meet him.
Yes, this is our second year working together. I met him last year. I wanted to miss the game, so he started last year, and so did I. So yeah,
I just knew him for maybe a month, and that was through WNBA Twitter, and I saw that we were playing Washington coming up, and I was like, hey, let's meet up, and he was like, oh yeah, let's do it. So that was super cool. For the game on Sunday, it was 20, like, you guys had like 25 or over points in the first quarter. Can't remember that off the top of my head. And we were stuck at 10. We couldn't make any shots after 10 points. And after the first quarter, I was like, okay, all right, that's a good little tribute to Sue Bird, but we need to score some more points. So we got to 14, and by the time we got to 14, you guys were already at 40, and I'm like, oh boy, this could be a very, very long day. And I honestly thought it was going to be a 30-point loss. And that's one of the things that I thought Sue Bird was gonna harp on at the beginning of her speech, if that were the case. But no, it was I think 42-18 at one point. We were down by as much as 28, but we kind of had that same attitude that we did against LA. This team has no quit in them, and I think we kind of showed it the entire weekend. This team has a no quit mentality, and they no matter how much they're down, they know how to fight back, and I think that's a testament to the veterans on this team. And I really liked that no quit attitude with this team. When it was about 5 minutes left, it was a 4-point game, and I said we could really win this game. And the fact that I could say that logically with that much time left and the way that the game started, it was just incredible to be able to say that. Unfortunately, we weren't able to pull it out, but the way that this game started to look at the final box score, I call that a win in my book for Seattle. But I think the future of this team, or I think the season for this team is very clear. It's a rebuilding season. Super said it in her post game or in her retirement speech that losing is very hard even if you're rebuilding, and I think that's the same thing here. So that's my thoughts of the game. The biggest thing is I loved the fight back in this team. I loved individually. I loved. Jewel Lloyd. She played off of her foot, and I've watched the players come out of the locker room to watch the ceremony, and Jewel was actually like limping, and it looked bad. So I'm just glad that she played. Ezzie McMcGraw, I loved. I think she's back. I think her defensive impact was really felt. She had three blocks in the first half, and I'll tell you what, I'm not a fan of her showcasing her 3-point shot yet, just because it's starting to develop. When that 3-pointer from the top of the arc went down, I was in genuine shock for like 2 minutes. I was in mouth open, like wide open as you can be, like in complete shock that it went in. Just because she's taken double-digit amount of threes this season. She's made like 1 or 2 off the top of my head. So that was genuine shock. But those are my individual stars from the game. Also, shout out Jordan Horston, finally getting a start, and I hope she starts for the rest of the season because she definitely deserves it. The retirement ceremony, unfortunately, it was longer than the actual game, but it took like 3 hours. We got to the arena at like 10 a.m. And ended up leaving at like 6. So yeah, and that's just from the retirement ceremony. But I mean, there's a lot to recap when it's 21 years with the same franchise, and there's so much love and so much appreciation for Sue. Notable names that were there, I mean, Swing Cash, Jenny Busak, Lauren Jackson. I'm very glad she got to be there. Sue's mom and dad, that was super cool to see. All of her teammates from the past like 6 years. I mean, Jewel Lloyd was there obviously, and as McMcGraw, all those players. Sammy was there. That was really cool.
Megan Rapinoe.
Megan Rapinoe and Macklemore hosted hosted the day. That was awesome. But no, it was a really good tribute to Sue, and I think the biggest thing was especially when they were rebuilding. Swing Cash nailed it right on the head in her speech. When she had the opportunity to leave, she stayed for us, and Sue will always be she'll always have a special place in Seattle's heart, and vice versa will always have a special place in her heart. And just some of the stories that she told were really cool and really inspiring as well. But she will forever call Seattle home, and that's just incredible to hear. As far as me going to this game and experiencing this is my first jersey retirement that I've ever been to. It was absolutely incredible. I had a blast. And I'm for anyone that doesn't know me at all, I'm a big Dallas Mavericks fan. So Dirk is a really big part of my life, and he's stayed 21 seasons with the same franchise. So this is like the women's version of Dirk for me. And so that was a great full circle moment, and the fact that I got to go was very, very cool. And I got to spend the day with my mom, so that was really cool as well. But it was a long ceremony, rightfully so. There's a lot to recap in 21 years of greatness with Sue Bird. But that was very special. My favorite speech was probably Jenny Busek, and she said her speech like a coach. Like at the end of her speech, I said I felt like I was in the locker room and I was ready to go out and play a game. And it was exactly like a coach would say anything. A speech pregame in the locker room, speech postgame. She said her speech to Sue, whatever she had to say to Sue, like a coach would, and I absolutely loved that. So
I'm glad you had a wonderful experience. I mean, the closest thing I'd say was when Syl, they played last year in Washington, Minnesota. They gave her something. That's about close to a retirement celebration. But I'm glad that you got to go. You're a very passionate WNBA fan, but more importantly, college women's basketball fan as well. And I'm glad you got to enjoy it. I feel bad you had to stay that long. Oh goodness!
No, it was funny at the end of towards the end of Sue's speech. She was like, "All right, page." She had 7 pages of things to say. Yeah. And by the time that she said that, we were already like 2.5 hours in, 3 hours in. Like we had waited a long time, and so Sue went up to speak, and she was like, "Oh, I got 7 pages," and she got finished her page 6, and she goes, "All right, last page," and she goes, "Anyone need a break?" And that's when I laughed. So because I mean she was right, but no, it was a long wait, but it was totally worth it.
Absolutely, I agree. I definitely agree. For me, from the perspective of Washington's side of that Sunday game.
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
That's the best way I can explain it. That's the best way I can explain it. We were up 28 points. The second half just was abysmal. There's I'm keeping it real. Like there's no way a team should score 17 points just in the third quarter. And then, I mean, the fourth quarter, it's interesting. In the fourth quarter, we only scored 8 points. And one thing I've learned from Mike Tebow is I've actually I've remixed this. Stay with me on this. It's we all know in sports, they call it the Rice treatment, right? So I remixed it. So R is for reassurance. I reassured myself because the Washington Mystics were the number one ranked defense for a reason last year. I had to intake a bad offense in the fourth quarter that only scored 8 points. That can't happen. I had to compose myself because this game proves that any team, you can't let them hang around like the way Seattle did. And then I had to evaluate, okay, how do you not let that happen again? It's simple. Just got to continue to be aggressive. And granted, still working on some chemistry things, but I feel like at this point of the season, we're not even 10 games in. Fair. After maybe 20 games, we'll then we can start asking questions. But that's just me. But
I have a question for you.
okay.
After the results this weekend and the way that you watched the Mystics handle Seattle, are you at all worried about their season and their outlook the rest of the season if they play like this? Because especially after Friday, I was like, if I'm a Washington fan, I'm a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, just based off of expectations coming into the season.
No, because we're not even at 20 games yet. I can see we were 20, maybe 25, 30 games into the season and we're playing like this, then yeah, you have a point, but we're still early into the season. I mean, you can look at a good chunk of the league and really realistically, there's a couple teams that have not exceeded expectations. We're still trying to figure out some rotations for some teams. Hell, some of these teams don't even have an identity. Like Washington, I still think, still figuring out the chemistry with the offense. Personally, I'm not a fan of the starting lineup. I think someone has to come off the bench. I'll talk about that in a separate video for the Mystics when we get to the 10-game report card. But I'm not concerned because we're not even at game number 10 yet. Let's give me like game 25, game 20, game 20, game 25, and we'll see. Because we're not even at 25% of the season yet. So that's just me. But let's get into the rankings of going into week 4. This is what the ideal rankings should be. Number 12, I just Minnesota. I mean, I think it's fair. Honestly and truthfully, like Tiffany Mitchell should be in consideration for most improved player. I mean, they have been playing a lot of better ball lately. Their biggest win was the game winner against Washington. I'm just going to leave it at that. I still think also coming off the win against the Sparks as well. I think there was like a 19-3 run. They did lose 3 where their losses were by like 12. I think Nafisa Collier should be in the MVP conversation. I think she's 7th best currently in the league for points per game. I think they got to still figure out their identity on offense. I'm still trying to figure out this aerial powers coming off the bench. I'm not really getting that. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I know the last time we talked about the Lynx. Diamond Miller was still playing, so I hope she gets well soon because it's absolutely horrible for her to suffer a long-term injury, especially in her first year. But I mean, I kind of rank them a little higher than 12. I have them, I would think 11 or 10 around that range. Still near the bottom, but I mean, I think they're starting to get something going. Whether it's Navisha Collier going on a scoring run because she kind of has to, I mean, yeah, you got plenty of sufficient talent to not have the Lynx be last. And I think you talked about identity in the last portion. I think they're still experimenting with some of their lineups, especially throughout the game and closing. So I think that, I mean, injuries obviously doesn't help. So that, I mean, those are just my two cents on the Lynx.
Excuse me, I apologize. Number 11. I'm actually going to give Seattle the Seattle Storm here. Now, I know probably you could say they're 12 because now they're 1-6 on the year, but I have a question for you. From watching this weekend series, other than Joel Lloyd, because it's who are the true second and third scoring options for? I mean, maybe Ezzy Magnagor is a second option, but like, is there a true third scoring option for Seattle?
So, I by the way, I knew this question was coming, but I think Ezzy Maglagor is starting to be a secondary scorer. She's not, as I covered in the very beginning of the show. She's not really a shooter, and I think they are breeding her to be breeding her to be a shooter. And I mean, she has a lot of ground to make up based off the losses that we've had. So I think Ezzy is starting to be a second scorer. A third scorer, I would think Jordan Horston has emerged into a potential double digit scorer. If she can just get her shooting percentages up. I liked on the Friday post game press conference, she took responsibility for her poor shooting night, and that was one of the reasons why we ended up losing that game. And I just love that maturity and that accountability for a rookie. And so I think Jordan is I think Ezzy and Jordan are the two answers that I would give, but they're emerging into those second and third scores. And as the season goes on, we can call them that at the end of the season. But right now, it's a development thing for both of them.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, also too, I was hoping Mercedes Russell would be like a full go back. It looks like they're working her back into the lineup. Not having Gabby Williams there, I think, makes a difference. Jordan Horston, to me, I think could be a true third option for scoring wise. Just got to get better looks. I felt like some of the shot selection was just because of not giving good looks. But I give it time. And then what I think, like I said, once Mercedes is like a full 100%, and then Gabby comes back, I think that'll solidify some things. So
you brought up Mercedes Russell, so I have a question for you. What did you think about Dulcie? I'm gonna butcher this name. Dulcie Fancam, our rookie forward from South Florida.
I thought in the minutes that she played, I thought she did fine. They asked her. Oh no, she didn't play at all in this game.
Because Joyner played, I think.
Yeah, Joyner played.
Yeah.
I feel like Dulcie's more of maybe a reserve. Like if the team is blown up, it's like if there's like up 15, you're just putting her in there garbage minutes. Mm-hmm. I don't want to consider her a replacement for Mercedes Russell, because Mercedes Russell, I still think, is coming off a season, with the head condition.
Right.
So she's more just a reserve player to me. But and also too, I think maybe another because Gabby being overseas, I think that's why she's still on the roster. But Jordan Holmes didn't even play neither, looking at this box score.
Yeah.
most of your minutes really came from. No, I'm sorry. Jordan did play. She played 3 minutes. Arella Garantis, I'm surprised on that one. She only played less, about 2.5 minutes. Mercedes played 7. Sammy Wickham played 10. J.E. played 15. I'm kind of really a little mind boggled with the minute distribution, but I understand it.
I think it's experimenting at this point. I mean, we kind of know the direction we're going. And so I think it's just experimenting at this point. And I mean, last year Noah Quinn did the same thing with experimenting with different lineups. One name I will say that I like that we haven't mentioned is Ivana Dojkic. She's very special, and I hope we develop her properly, because she could be a really good guard to play for this team. I think Jordan Horston is good enough to where I don't care if she's a point guard or a shooting guard. I'm starting her next to Jewel Lloyd.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you on that one. I'm 1,000% because I think give her more time to develop. I think you got a potential partner.
Yeah.
Duo.
She's showing why she's the steal of the draft.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Number 10, the Atlanta Dream. I mean, I'll give them benefit of the doubt. They did lose to New York and then Connecticut. Case in point, those games were, I wouldn't say blowouts, but they weren't close. And then on top of that, you got to play those same teams again. I know they played Connecticut Thursday and they played New York today. They get Indiana on Sunday. And I think Ari McDonald's out for like 3 weeks because she was it torn labrum. So, I don't know, but I mean, Ryan Howard did break Cynthia Cooper's record for getting to 100 3-pointers fastest. So, what's your take on Atlanta?
I mean, I don't have too much to add except, I mean, Ryan Howard's good at basketball. I mean, that's a tell me something I didn't know kind of thing. But yeah, all these injuries, man. I hate that. We talked about Ari McDonald last week, and now she's hurt, about to miss almost a month. So that's just all these injuries, man. But I don't have too much more to say on Atlanta.
Yeah, and number 9. This is actually a surprise team. They're actually starting to pick it up, and again, just like with Seattle, there's peaks and there's valleys. This is the whole point of rebuild. There's going to be good times, there's going to be bad times. You could relook at their youth movements on full display. I think they have the talent to compete with any team. They actually almost gave everybody a scare when they almost beat Vegas. They gave everybody a scare. And then overtime lost to Chicago. Because it went with Alana Smith, who I think should be also in consideration for most improved player as well. Had the game time bucket. But what are you seeing from Indiana?
First of all, Kelsey Mitchell is going to be an all-star.
Yep.
So that's very encouraging for Indiana's part. Is they're going to have a couple of notable good players in Vegas, where the All-Star game is going to be headlined, and that's going to be a fun weekend.
Will Leah Boston go to the All-Star game, Brenden? Be careful.
I think she might. If
she might. Some fans on Twitter might not like to hear that.
Hey man, at this point, the All-Star game's a popularity contest. It always is. But no, I mean, You kind of nailed it on the head. Indiana's they're getting there. They're getting there. It's a rebuild. And I said last year, if they rebuild like Seattle and they develop their young talent, they keep them together.
Yeah.
They could be something special. In terms of a potential dynasty. So
Yeah.
Indiana, they're getting there. They're getting there. It's a process, though.
Yep. It's definitely a process. And also, too, Aaliyah Boston, who I think is going to be the rookie of the year, but also, to all starting their first year. I think her skill set is better advertised than it has been advertised at South Carolina, even though I already saw it. Because she's getting to the point where she's getting triple teamed and at the pro level. And I think also, too, it's just that's what she's a franchise changer. And for me, what I like about Indiana is that now it's starting to become team ball. Erica Wheeler, we criticized her and, hey, they paid you to be their star. And she's starting to pick it back up. So I'm curious to see how they'll play tonight against us. Because, they're also putting pieces to the puzzle. But
so I have a question before you move on to the next team.
Sure.
Do you think Aaliyah Boston is having as good or a better rookie season than Ryan Howard?
I'm gonna say no, because they play two different positions.
Okay.
And also, too, if you look, Ryan's coming off a situation where there was a culture change from the top up and bringing in players that I think they're going in a direction where they're wanting to win now.
Mm-hmm.
Like Indiana.
Well, would you have thought that if Atlanta didn't get Ryan Howard, because you talked about Aaliyah Boston being a franchise changer? Ryan Howard's the same thing, because I don't think you put win now in Atlanta in the same conversation if they don't get Ryan Howard.
Well, I think some of it also too is that they were aggressive in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
They made getting Alicia Gray, re-signing getting Cheyenne Parker,
Mm-hmm.
re-signing her, Monique Billings. I think they have the talent. I think everything was just built through the draft, and also
Right.
too, you getting Tanisha Wright, and also too, like having a front office and changing the culture. I think that makes a difference. We look at Indiana. Look what you're coming into. You drafted last year. Lynn Dunn takes over as GM because Tamika Catchings at the helm. With drafting before Kaiser Geinrich with the 4th overall pick, and Maureen Stanley. That wasn't really a good hiring, just in my opinion, because she's not really a head coach; she's more of an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
So you look at Lynn, what she did. She went in the draft and probably in with five rookies, and then this year, you knew Aaliyah Boston was #1 overall pick,
Mm-hmm.
but I still think there's some things that have to be worked out. But also, too, let's be a little bit more aware as well, because we had people in the media who said Ryan Howard doesn't have the motor skill to be a franchise superstar. She's proven that wrong. And the same thing they've done with Leah Boston. I think both have gone into the similar situations. I just think that it's how management is progressing towards competing. That's just how I look at it.
Okay.
But I still think Ryan Howard, no, I'll let it go. Because I had that one overall pick, just saying.
Yeah.
I'm not letting that go. But let's take a quick break. We're going to get into the sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast, and that is Zagniff Apparel. Ladies and gentlemen, do you want to dress like you're already famous? You can and you will by checking out Zagniff Apparel, where you can and you will dress like you're already famous.
The following is a presentation of Zagniff Productions, LLC.
Introducing Zagnif Apparel. Our comfortable line of leisure wear and athletic wear will have you comfortable and stylish at any occasion. Whether you're at the gym, out shopping, or just relaxing at home. Whether you're an athlete or just want to lay around the house, we've got the perfect outfit for you. Stop by our website today and pick up your favorite pieces. Zagnif Apparel. Dress like you're already famous.
And you can most certainly do that with a nice 15% off using my code BIGNATE for 15% off on your final purchase of Zagnif Apparel. Thank you for being a sponsor of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Let's move you right on into the rankings. Number 8, the Phoenix Mercury. First and foremost, I'm just going to briefly get this off my chest. There was a situation that occurred in Dallas with the Phoenix Mercury, a social media, I don't even want to call him that, an attention seeker. Let me say it that way. Harassed Brittany Griner and the Phoenix Mercury as they were walking through the airport, which opened up the conversation about the security, because at the beginning of the season, there was talk about Brittany BG would have security, and that clearly was not on display. I know, like, from what I've heard, through the airport, if you notice, any of the teams, they don't mind signing an autograph or taking a picture, but I was very, very, I'm going to be careful when I say this. This was something it's scary for her, because, like, I'm really trying to find the right words when I say it. I thought we were more prepared for this, and it clearly shows that the league was not. I'm gonna leave it at that, because the more I say something, the more, yeah. But is there anything from your side, on Phoenix's side, Brenden, that you've seen from this week so far?
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of starting to find their stride. And I mean, it's a long season. We've talked about in the past. Seattle plays them later today, so it'll be interesting to watch how they play.
Sure.
And what are they good at or bad at. And I think they need a player like Skylar Diggins-Smith to come back. I don't know if I'm assuming she's going to miss the season just because
maternity leave. She'll probably be back like towards the end of the season.
Right. But I've said it. I said it when Brittany Griner was wrongfully detained. I said, and I said it in last week's episode. When Brittany Griner comes back to the team, that season, the magnifying glass gets bigger on Vanessa Nygaard and how she coaches, because you have no excuses now. Obviously, it's a different type of season this year, so a little bit of leeway for Phoenix, but I think they'll progress into an eventual bottom tier playoff team. So I think this is a good ranking for where they're at now.
I agree. We're going to do a quick wind 7 through 1. Brenden, I'm going to give you the floor on LA.
Right. The Sparks, it's so good to see Azura Stevens back and playing.
Yes.
Even though it was against my team, it was so good to see her back. They I struggle with their ability to keep leads. And I think the game against I'm only speaking on the time Seattle played them, but they had the potential to grow a lead, just not keep it. But they're a promising team, and we talked about culture change in the last or earlier in the show. Kurt Miller's a big culture changer over there, and it's I think he's having a blast in LA, and I think LA is having a blast with him. But so it's still early in the season, as we've said, for a lot of these teams. So I think LA will pick it up eventually.
And also, to just add on a couple points to that, Lashea Clarendon's out for 4 to 6 weeks of a foot injury, and Jasmine Thomas is back as well. Lexi Brown, who I think should also be in the conversation for most improved. You can see Dearica Hamby getting more comfortable, and Nneka Ogwumike is just looking like a former looking like an MVP. So I'm loving every minute of it in LA.
Are you putting her in the MVP conversation yet?
Let's revisit this at about game 25, game 20.
Game 20, I think we should revisit a lot of these at that point in the season.
Yeah. Number 6, Chicago. Talk to me. What you see from Chicago?
Yeah, Chicago. I mean, Kalea Copper, Courtney Williams. They've been doing great this season. I really like the direction that this team seemed like a down in the dumps team after losing Candace Parker, but James Wade is like, no, we're still gonna be that team, and he got the players that he thought could keep that team or that culture alive. And there was a little bit of a downfall, obviously, because of the players that you lost, but they're playing well so far, and I think this is a proper bottom tier playoff team ranking for them.
Sure. They're sitting right at 500. I mean, the road win against New York I thought was good. I think Elena Smith, Marina Mabry, Courtney Williams, Dana Evans, especially when you start her and put her in minutes, Coach Wade, makes a big difference. I still think still a couple things I would like to see them be more. It's just more consistency. Like Courtney Williams is, we all know the playmaker that she is, but I'm like what I'm seeing from them. Number 5, Dallas. Talk to me.
Yeah, Dallas is a sneaky team. They have a lot of potential to be a championship contending team, up there with the big teams. But I really like the play from Enrique. Obviously, I think Coach Trammell is a really big help for her. Satu Sabali, she might. You keep putting players in most improved. I think she might be the front runner for most
I agree.
improved. Like she whether it's coming back from injury or not, like Satu Sabali is definitely an all-star, definitely most improved front runner. She is a unicorn. And it's so good to see her play for this team, and it's so good to see how she fits with this team.
Yep.
And that's one of the takeaways that I take when watching Dallas.
A couple of things that stand out to me. I still think there needs to be some trusting when others touch the ball. I I love Enrique Gugawale, but I'll use the Washington game as an example. You're not going to win many basketball games when you're 3 of 16 from the floor. That can't happen. And my notes here, I mean, watching them play New York, I mean, they can rebound, but they perimeter defense needs work. That's what I thought Coach Trammell was brought in for, was the defense. And all 4 games they've lost was primarily on defense. So I clearly think they got to work on the defensive side of the ball, continue to work on that. And I thought that's what Vicky Johnson, I mean, if you saw towards the end of the season, worked on, but clearly it's still some things there. But I just think that there has to be some trust when others touch the ball offensively if you're Dallas. And that's something that I'm going to continue to observe as the season progresses. Number 4, let me get your thoughts on Washington.
Yeah, I think their record shows obviously how good they are. But I thought fans of the Mystics should just be a little bit worried about how they handled both of these games from this weekend, just because I mean on Sunday how they almost blew a big lead, and they couldn't handle that. They escaped with the win at the end of the game, and
that concludes Big Nate Sports Talk podcast.
It's a rebuilding team in Seattle, and you beat a team that you were up by 28 points by 6. And it's just I thought it was going to be a 30-point loss easily, and you made it a 6-point loss. Like there was a lot of adjustment from Seattle, but there was, I mean, okay, I didn't want to say this, but I will. Elena Delle Donne being out didn't help, but that, I mean, at that point, it's a 28-point game. There's no excuse. So
I hold on. This is the better way I can show you better than I can tell you.
I can't defend that. What do you want me to say to that?
And then I'll give you another thing that you can't really defend as well. You beat, I can't remember the score or the deficit off the top of my head, but you beat Seattle on Friday. Yeah, we were without the leading scorer in the league and our best player. So, and you had Elena Delle Donne. So of course you would have. But it was a 5-point game at the end of the game. So you need to beat a team like that by more points. And you know, that's just my only hesitation with the Mystics, but
I mean, damn!
He took the words out of me. That's pretty much all I can say. But like I said, I'm going to reserve my thoughts for when I get into it. I'm going to do a separate video for the Mystics. I'm really getting to my thoughts, but also too, I have not recorded it, but it's going to be recorded today for the Keep It 9450 Basketball Network. So I'm going to have my thoughts on that game. Really quick, let's just go down 3, 2, 1, New York.
Yeah, I mean, New York, they've been playing great and not surprised about how they've been doing. Sabrina Ionescu. I feel like she's too inconsistent. For the kind of star player that everyone's advertising her to be, I feel like the consistency needs to get better for them to like really hit that next gear. Jonquel, I feel like she needs to be more integrated into the team. I feel like the team really runs through Brianna Stewart right now. That's just my take on the Liberty, but I feel like as the season progresses, Jonquel will be integrated. I'm interested to see if the consistency for Sabrina Ionescu gets better.
Connecticut number 2.
Connecticut, I think we talked about Chicago and the losses that they had. Connecticut really kept the core together and they got better. I think Dewana Bonner has been playing out of her mind. Natisha Heidemann as well, and I really love the play from Connecticut so far this season, and they're looking like a championship contender.
Last but not least, Las Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas. I mean, you got like, you talk about all-star voting. They may make up the all-stars when we get to that weekend in July. But that, I mean, you can't really say too much about them or too much negativity about them. The thing that I will say that's a little pushback on that. I'm waiting to see what role Candace Parker plays in this situation. But I mean, you can't really say anything too negative about Vegas. They're just a damn good team.
Yeah, and really quick before we get into the final thought, she's still getting acclimated. Let's give her time. It's just into a new system. Same thing with Kelsey Plum. I kind of look at her and Ari Atkins kind of going through a little slump, and it's early, and they'll get through it. Let's get into the final thought.
Thoughts are running through my mind. Someone took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
My simple, quick to the point of final thought. Just going to keep it really brief. Enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe. And just finish the week off strong. That is my final thought.
Yeah, that's that I echo that as well. I did want to use my final thought to say some breaking news I don't know if you know this, but I will be going to the WNBA All-Star Weekend this year. I will be going to Vegas that weekend for my graduation trip, and WNBA All-Star Weekend is that same weekend. So once I found that out, I said, let's kill two birds with one stone. So I will only be going to the All-Star game on that Saturday, I believe. So no matter who you vote for All-Stars, I'm still going to be going. So I'm very excited to see who to meet who I'm going to meet over there. And just have a good time going to the All-Star game. So
I'm happy for you. Congratulations. Let me know how it is when you get out there.
Oh, I will.
That's going to conclude Big Nate Sports Talk. Be tuned in for future episodes, ladies and gentlemen. Please like, comment, subscribe. I will leave Brendan's work through the Storm Lead, his Twitter page in the description below. Again, thank you for all the support you're giving me in this channel. I will catch you guys on the flip side. I'll take it easy.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share the next big thing, the next up-and-coming sports journalist, Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
I want to thank you, yeah. I want to thank you. Ooh. For all the times you put up with me. Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you.